Saudi Arabia and OPEC are putting more oil into the market, and it has a lot of consequences. When times are prosperous, the price of oil is high, Saudi Arabia and OPEC start releasing the supply of oil to get as much revenue as they can. But because there's been no clear direction for the world economy to go, Saudi Arabia and OPEC cut production by a few million barrels per day. And this has been going on for the past few years. Cutting the supply of oil like this allows Saudi Arabia and other oil-producing countries to maximize the profit that they can when there isn't a lot of demand. But they've increased supply when oil is already dirt cheap. That's why we're seeing it at $59 a barrel. It even dropped to $54 a barrel. The last time oil prices were this low was in 2021, when the price of oil was recovering from being near zero, or actually less than zero. It doesn't mean cheaper gas. Don't get your hopes up. The only way we would get cheaper fuel for our cars and other vehicles would be if oil refineries started increasing capacity and we see those inventories start to rise. What it means is it's become much more expensive for America and other oil-producing countries to start going in the ground and getting the oil out. The United States has a break-even cost of about $60 to $65 per barrel to open a new well. Some areas of the U.S. it's cheaper, like the Permian Basin, but the overall average is $60 to $65. Meaning right now, any well that is currently being drilled is going to be running at a loss of $6 or less per barrel. It also means that every major producer and exporter of oil, whether or not they're in OPEC, will start to see a drop in revenue, or they'll just see their drop in revenue increase. But why? Why on earth is Saudi Arabia having this happen? According to official Saudi statements, they are seeking to punish cheaters. Reports are saying that Saudi Arabia is angry at Kazakhstan and other overproducing nations because they are not complying with the supply cuts. When Saudi Arabia and the rest of OPEC said they were going to cut production, Kazakhstan and some other countries saw an opportunity to fill that void, and they've been making a lot of money off of it, even though the oil is cheaper. Remember, Saudi Arabia needs around $90 per barrel to keep their budget afloat. Saudi Arabia isn't broke. They have hundreds of billions of dollars in reserve. They're fine. So Saudi Arabia and OPEC decided to increase production to about 130,000 barrels a day as a warning in April. That had little to no effect, so now they may be opening the floodgates. Saudi Arabia is firing its second wave of attacks, and they will allow 411,000 more barrels per day to be produced and released in May. Like I said, even though Saudi Arabia is getting lower revenue from oil, they can endure much more economic hardship than any other nation in OPEC or OPEC Plus. While the Saudis may feel a little sting in the drop in oil prices, other economies can be nearly leveled or at least hobbled severely. Remember, that is Saudi Arabia's official response, but some say they're doing it for different geopolitical reasons. Our current leadership has been begging for cheaper oil, and it looks like they're getting their wish. It will hurt America's oil industry because we need the price of oil to be a bit higher than this. This may be a gamble to keep gas prices as low as they are, to drop them, or to stop them from rising as quickly as they can. But there is another reason why Saudi Arabia may be flooding the markets with oil, and it has to do with Russia. Saudi Arabia and Russia were at each other's economic throats in 2020 during COVID, and they are still at the same place today. The Saudis are furious with Russia because they overtook Saudi Arabia as being China's #1 oil supplier. And Russia is one of those countries that have also cheated by increasing oil production, even though they said they wouldn't. Russia is doing this because oil is their #1 export, and 63% of all of their exports are somehow fuel-based. And even though Russian revenue per barrel is dropping and possibly costing them more money in the future, they need whatever access to capital that they have now. Now, Saudi Arabia will never probably say this for the sake of diplomacy, but Russia is the largest cheater when it comes to these production cuts, but they are also the most damaged and hurt due to Saudi Arabia allowing OPEC to start releasing more oil into the system. If the oil supply keeps increasing and the price of oil keeps dropping, along with Ukraine launching successful attack after successful attack against Russia's oil and fuel industry, they won't be able to stay afloat. It wasn't just Chernobyl and corruption and poor management that brought down the Soviet Union. America had Saudi Arabia and OPEC cooperate with them in crashing the price of oil, which crushed the Soviet economy. And OPEC finally starting to increase the supply might be Russia Collapse 2.0. This is just speculation, but it's founded on the fact that this has happened before. Right now, China is Russia's main supplier of almost everything in exchange for Russian fuel. But if Russia can't guarantee a steady, reliable supply of oil to China, Saudi Arabia definitely can. I am the Geo Hussar. I am being suppressed on this app, so please like, share, and save this. Thanks for watching.